Echo Station 3T8.
We have spotted Imperial Walkers.
Imperial Walkers on the North Ridge.
The AT-AT Walker was one of the most feared vehicles in the Imperial Army. Beneath its slightly impractical appearance lay a devastating war machine that could destroy armored emplacements with as much ease as a main battle tank, step over most obstacles like they weren't even there, and deploy entire platoons of troops at once. It's no wonder that the arrival of a unit of AT-ATs to a battle was almost universally met with horror and despair. In this video, I'll go over the specifications, history, and variants of the AT-AT. I'm Joey from Radio Free Coruscant, and this is the complete history of the AT-AT.
That armor's too strong for blasters. Rogue group, use your harpoons and tow cables. Go for the legs, it might be our only chance of stopping.
Design. Despite the details changing, the basic form of the all-terrain armored transport remained the same throughout all of its variants. A boxy, angular, heavily armored body, 4 long, thin legs, and a movable head with the Walker's guns on it. It was the product of decades of Walker research by Kuat Driveyards, who manufactured the AT-TE and several other Walkers for the Republic during the Clone Wars. Most AT-AT models cost the galactic taxpayer 150,000 credits. This was half the cost of the Republic's AT-TE, though the AT-TE was a tank and the AT-AT was more equivalent to an infantry fighting vehicle, or IFV. An IFV is an armored vehicle that superficially resembles a tank, but is intended to carry troops into combat, much like the AT-AT. Despite its larger size, the AT-AT's lack of a main gun and smaller number of legs and their associated motors and hinges made the smaller price tag possible. The 4 legs could propel it up to 60 km per hour or 37 miles per hour, though they are rarely depicted at that speed on screen. They were made to be much longer than those of the AT-TE, to allow the Walker to ford rivers and step right over barricades that an AT-TE might need to pause to destroy or even wait for a LAT-C carrier to remove. Additionally, it aligned with the Tarkin doctrine of striking fear into the citizens of the Empire. The Walker received many upgrades and changes throughout its lifetime, starting with the early AT-AT.
Look at the size of those things! Huh. Reinforced armor plating, heavy cannons, and anti-personnel blasters.
I'm glad you guys are so excited, but those giant death machines are on their way to blow us to bits!
Early AT-AT. The first model of AT-AT was introduced shortly before 14 BBY. It was 26 meters long and 25 meters tall, about the height of a 7-story building. It was armed with 2 heavy laser cannon turrets, 4 anti-personnel blasters, and a rear dorsal twin laser turret. It was capable of carrying at least 1 614 AVA speeder bike or 4 74Z speeder bikes, both of which were commonly used by the Empire. It had a crew of 2 pilots and an optional vehicle commander. We don't know how many troops it could carry, but it was commonly deployed alongside Sentinel dropships, so its troop capacity may have been limited. The early AT-AT was deployed in pairs from Gozanti-class cruisers. The AT-AT was put into service around 18 BBY, just in time to participate in the invasion of Mon Cala. It was also used in the occupation of Kashyyyk, with one being hijacked by Jedi Padawan Cal Kestis and the Partisans. They were also deployed to Selos, Lothal, Atollon, and other planets from around 4 BBY through 1 BBY in pursuit of the rebel cell known as the Spectres. In real life, this design was, as many things in Star Wars Rebels were, inspired by early concept art from the original trilogy, particularly this piece by Joe Johnston. Later AT-AT. The AT-AT received an update around 4 BBY. The two models were used simultaneously for several years until the early model was finally retired around 1 BBY. The later model is the one you're likely familiar with from The Empire Strikes Back. It was reduced in height to 22 meters tall and remained 26 meters long. It was given new body styling, better armor, and other refreshed systems. The weapons were changed as well. It now carried 2 chin-mounted Tamenbach MS-1 heavy laser cannons, and 2 temple-mounted medium blasters, either Piperi Cerium R90C medium blasters or Tamenbach FF4 medium repeating blasters. It could carry 5 74Z speeder bikes, 40 troops, and 3,500 metric tons of cargo. It was crewed by 2 pilots, a vehicle commander, an engineer, and a loadmaster. This version could also be deployed from Gozantes, but it could be deployed in teams of 4 by Y-85 Titan dropships as well. The late model AT-AT was used in many ground battles of the Galactic Civil War. The most famous of these was the Battle of Hoth, where a section of the 501st Legion, known as Blizzard Force, was deployed from several AT-ATs to assault the rebel base. They were also used in the Battle of Jakku. A walker from Hellhound Force, Hellhound 2, was destroyed and knocked over by a downed rebel A-Wing pilot named Odavia Anaru. Decades later, Hellhound 2 would become the home of a scavenger and future Jedi named Rey. AT-ACT. Kuat Drive Yards also built a similar vehicle called the All-Terrain Armored Cargo Transport, or AT-ACT. It featured a similar form and used several of the same components, but it was a distinctly separate vehicle. It was designed to carry heavy cargo over rough terrain. The AT-ACT only required 2 crew, a pilot and a vehicle commander, who also served as the gunner and loadmaster. It also employed stevedore droids, which have sadly never been depicted in any visual media, to balance its cargo load for safe transport. It could carry 550 cubic meters of material weighing many thousands of metric tons, as well as 10 passengers. It was substantially larger than the AT-AT at 34.9 meters long and 31.9 meters tall. It was armed with 2 Tamenbach MS-2 heavy laser cannons. The AT-ACT had one major flaw in its design. Its taller height and greater weight meant that the walker's knees required electromagnetic tensor fields to sustain the full weight of the walker and its cargo. The U-Wings of the Rebel Alliance exploited this weakness in the Battle of Scarif, using repeating ion cannons to overwhelm the tensor fields and weaken the knee joints, causing the AT-ACTs to collapse. The AT-ACT entered service around 12 BBY, where several were used during the construction of Fortress Vader on Mustafar. Several were also present at the Imperial facility on Scarif in 0 BBY, and were destroyed in the battle there. First Order AT-AT. The AT-AT was such a successful design that it remained in use by remnants of the Empire for decades until the First Order was formed. The First Order commissioned a new model of AT-AT from Kuat and Trolley drive yards. It was very similar to the Imperial model, but was ever so slightly smaller at 24 meters long by 22 meters tall. It was armed with 2 heavy laser cannons similar to those on the AT-ACT. The First Order AT-AT required 2 pilots and a vehicle commander and could carry the same 40 troops, which loaded and unloaded through a boarding ramp under the chin where the cannons used to be on the Imperial AT-AT. It was dwarfed by the First Order's main battle tank, the All-Terrain Mega Caliber 6, or AT-M6, which was a colossal walker that bore a Star Destroyer-grade turbo laser on its back. But that is a vehicle for another video. The AT-AT proved to be one of the most enduring symbols of the Empire's tyranny. It was a towering example of the Tarkin Doctrine made manifest. However, unlike many examples of the Empire's rule of fear, the AT-AT proved to be as effective as it was theatrical. It struck terror into the hearts of citizens across the galaxy for the better part of 30 years. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I have gained a ton of subscribers in the last 2 weeks, and it really means a lot to me. Let me know in the comments what topics you'd like to see in the future, and which version of the AT-AT you like the best. I imagine most people like the original Empire Strikes Back model the best, like I do, but you never know. See you later.